talk quickly about the Frankfurt match. Hamza, your view from the press box for this one, you must have been very nice.
It was actually the view there is fantastic. The crowd was really good, but for the purpose of being as quick as possible, I was actually quite confused by the formation early on. It was a quite clear 4-4-2 without the ball, but with the ball, quite complex at times. So it was a 3-2 build-up shape. Other times it was a 2-2, sort of depending on how far up the field Liverpool got. So it was really offensive because of how Frankfurt set up. We didn't actually see this for the first 5 minutes because they had the ball, they're attacking, and then Slot actually expected them to play either in a 4-2-3, 1-4-3-3, 5-3-2, but not this 5-2-3 shape. So that came as a bit of a surprise. In the first 10 minutes or so, Szoboszlai was called over by Slot and given a few tactical instructions just to tweak how they were pressing because of this surprise. After that, I think Liverpool were generally sort of okay. Conceded the early goal, looked a little bit sort of discombobulated, and there are a few moments where, alongside those tactical instructions from Slot to Szoboszlai, he also gave some to the rest of the team. And then you had Van Dijk as well telling the team that they weren't pressing when they should have been, and weren't squeezing on the opposition when they had the ball. So it looked a bit disjointed early on. It looked a bit too attacking, but given they're playing with a back five, you can understand why you play with two centre forwards. Barts moving into the number 10 looked at much sort of better balance. I thought Jones and Szoboszlai in deep midfield added a lot more structure, and while they were exposed for the goal, there was a lot of space that they had to cover, and that looked quite bad. Once they were able to consolidate possession and force Frankfurt back into their block, we didn't really see an opportunity for them to counter-attack. So yeah, there were a lot of interesting tactical things going on. You have to caveat it and balance it with the fact that Frankfurt aren't very good. They've conceded a lot of goals in the Champions League this season. They're still a good team, obviously, but they aren't as good as the top level European teams, nor the very best in the Premier League. So it's still to be seen whether this structure and formation can be one that's replicated. I think some of the ideas will be used again, or the intention was to use them again against a back five, just playing with two centre forwards, number 10 and two wide guys. But we'll have to see how that works against Brentford, especially given Isak's probably going to miss it. So yeah, quite a few interesting things going on here. But if there is something that we can definitely take away, and I feel comfortable in saying we can take away, is that Jones and Szoboszlai in deep midfield look a much better combination and give a lot more balance to the team. That's not to say they should definitely replace Gravenberch, but I think having one of them there as part of the double pivot would really help. And having Szoboszlai there instead of right back is a much more sort of useful way to use him, because I think you lose a lot when, especially his ball recovery and pressing, when he's at right back. I think maybe Jones is an option there, but we'll see.
I think it's important that we stress we're not trashing the midfield that won us the league last year by saying this. Because McAllister is one of our best players last season, and Ryan Gravenberch won the PFA Young Player of the Year. And he was pretty much he was an ever-present. But I think what we're saying, Hamza, is with the form and fitness of all the players, the pick at the moment has to be Jones and Szoboszlai, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. But there's a few different ways to get them in the team together. Like I said, if you're playing with the box, there's a few different configurations that you could have. You could have Szoboszlai, Jones, McAllister as your midfield three, and then Barts joins to create your box. You could have Curtis Jones at right back inverting to create your box. You could just have those four guys that I mentioned, and then Curtis as well at right back to give you even more control. He's tall as well, which gives him an advantage if Frimpong was injured, which means he can test aerial duels, be physical. He also has that ability to pass that Bradley doesn't. He has that ability to receive and play under pressure that Bradley doesn't. Given Bradley's had a bit of trouble when being pressed and being harried and build up. I think Jones
Curtis just wants the ball. I think Curtis just wants the ball to go through him. I think he just wants to be that guy, doesn't he? That's the way he is, Hamza. He wants to receive the ball and he wants to give it, and he does try to, and he does pass forward a lot more than some of his detractors would give him credit for.
Yeah, I think that was. He said to TV yesterday, I think, that he literally wants what you just said. He wants to control the game, wants the ball to go through him. I think yesterday being match day, obviously, he recorded the most passes of a Liverpool midfielder. He added that metronomic quality, but also that ability to accelerate play and move the ball forwards. I've already said the caveat of this being Frankfurt. I think when you look at the way that he played and the intelligence and the space that he covered, that's a player that could remedy some of the issues that Liverpool have had this season in terms of ball retention, end-to-end games, controlling the middle, and having a better sort of regulation of tempo, because at the moment it's been a bit too fast.
Yeah. Barts, if Si was on, I think he'd want to talk about Frimpong. The consequence of our lopsided system, Verts inverting from a right midfield position when we had the ball. What was Si's calculation of Frimpong shuttle runs?
9 in 19 minutes or something like that.
Nine full pitch runs in 19 minutes.
Yeah, which
after not playing for a while.
It's not going to end well, is it really? To be frank, it could have been. I don't think that's ideal for either fullback. It just happens to be the fullback that's had a hamstring injury already this season, and he's rapid. So his braking is always going to be under more stress because of the speed that he's up to. So whereas Bradley would have less stress on, he still has stress, but because he's not getting up to the speed that Frimpong is, he's not going to have as much issue. But yeah, it's not ideal. It's also not ideal that that's the second hamstring he's had with us, and before
potentially the same leg as well. Potentially
same leg. So yeah, it's not a problem. Yeah.
I think one other player we for the sake of balance we need to discuss is Andy Robertson. I think this is going to be a theme for the rest of the season now, isn't it, Barts? That there's no question that Andy Robertson will give you more on the ball and in build up than Milos Kerkez. But there are trade-offs, should we say, to playing Andy Robertson. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we've said this for a period of time. Andy Robertson is probably the best left back I've seen in my lifetime, or most recent time for Liverpool, right? So let's just put that out there. He's a legend for the club. But as with any player, they decline. And that's perfectly okay to accept that. But what he does give you, I mean, in this game alone, he made 20 final third passes, 5 progressive and 15 long passes. That's just something Kerkez hasn't been doing. And you saw that with the equaliser. He chips it over the top, and then Ekitike's in, ready to score, right? But that's not the first. He's done that numerous times where he's found the ball. I think it was in League Cup, whatever a game. He's done the same move, played it in, and then gone on and scored. He could contribute to 9% of our threat, and Robertson's not on set plays anymore. So that shows you the contribution he had from fullback. In terms of defensive EPV, if I can just find that in the table, I can't find that. I can't remember. I put that now. I'll find that. PVD. I'll find it later on. But I think defensively he was okay. He wasn't probably not at his best. So yeah, Robertson 40% duel rate. There you go. Not at his best. He lost 14% of the threat he faced. So it's not ideal. It's not the worst performing. Bradley on the other side lost 36% of the threat he faced.
Yeah.
But given the context you said of the balance, Kerkez has shut down a lot of the threat that he's been facing on his side, but he hasn't given us anything going forward. So I think rotating these two for the right games is probably the way forward for us, because with Robbo's passing, I think that did help us advance the ball down the left-hand side more than we'd seen in previous games. It wasn't just a coach show.
Do you think it will largely depend on whether the opposition have a very good right winger or a pacey right winger? Then if they don't, then it's more likely to be a Robertson game.
I think on a very crude measure, sure. Why wouldn't it? If you're none of the backroom team are stupid, they're going to analyse, they're going to know, right, there is no point playing Robertson against Asaka, Semenyo. It's not going to happen, is it? The advantage Robertson gives you, he's not going to be able to do, because he's going to get taken apart attacking wise. Just to back up Hamza's point about Dom and Curtis in the middle there, they contributed 36% of our threat from those two. And then you add in Barts with that, and that's up to 50% of our team threat came from those three players, which I think that's a really important starting point for us as a team. And I think it's energy in the middle of the park. Both of them able to shut down, do the work that needed to be done as a two, and they worked really well. And it allowed Flo to do what he needs to do, which is a base behind him. Which you're quite right. We're not dishing the previous midfield three, but they haven't been informed. They have Grav and Mac haven't hit the heights of previous seasons, so therefore you have a squad for the reason. And if you play them like they did the week, yes, it is Frankfurt. That does give you some inclination that this midfield three could work really well together.
Yeah, and finally, if Sai was here, I think he would say he was saying Andy Robertson was post-peak in the season where we were chasing the quad. So
yeah,
and that was 4 years ago. So
yeah, it's definitely post-peak.
Yeah. I think it's looking at the numbers on Curtis Jones is what he does. He retains the ball, he recycles the ball, he doesn't lose the ball. And then on the other side, you had Szoboszlai with almost as much of that, but with the output. He had with the chances created, the expected assist, the big chances created, and then the goal as well. That's the thing which Zobo's value add is. He can do all the bread and butter stuff, and then he can give you output at the same time, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the passing between the two of them, they had over 240 passes between the two of them, and both over 95% pass success rate. From your pivot, that's exactly what you want for your pivot, right? Yeah. And then they've progressed the ball 17 times before them from a pass alone between the two of them. Sorry, that's what you want. 43 final third passes from those two. That's frankly what we've been missing from our pivot all season.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, the most important thing about this game, I think, Barts was winning and breaking that and snapping that losing streak. It was a little bit. We did look a little bit shaky, especially in that first 5 minutes. And obviously, Hamza's already talked about calling Zobo over after about 10 minutes to make some tweaks. But yeah, I mean, once we got that first goal, you could see almost like the weight was lifted from the players' shoulders almost visibly, and I think that some of the last hour of the game was actually fun, and it's been a while since that's been the case.
No, for sure. I think we had a clear structure. If you look at past maps, certainly second half, bringing that up, I think. Sorry, just get rid of that. It was a far more obvious structure that we were playing. We had a nice back four shaping. We had a two pivot. Max he's not on for a long period of time. He had links between the front players. It was fun. It was expansive. You saw, for me, it was nice to see Flo on the ball in a positive way, dictating play to a large extent. I thought it was just nice to see players interacting, the little flicks coming off, the shots, the passes, the weight of pass was better with a lot of the players. So yeah, it was fun. A bit like like a Milan away last season. Milan away, we went one down early on, and then from that point onwards, with two set pieces, we went and dominated the game. So I thought it was it turned into a good performance away from home, but it is Frankfurt.
And then obviously the sour note obviously is the Isak injury. Sai was not happy with the selection when it dropped. I think he said, "I don't like us fucking around with a spiking Isaac." That's it in classic Sai. Do you want to explain what he means, Barts? Spiking for our listeners.
I think it's because he's gone from playing. They've been trying to phase him in, not playing more than 90 equivalent in a week. And they're trying to build his load up. And then, as Hamza said, he's gone, was it 3, 4, 5 games on back-to-back starting. I think in another world with another context, he wouldn't have played. He would have come on. This would have been the rest game, and then Katika would have started. But circumstances meant that he decided to go with the two front players. But yeah, it meant that, unsurprisingly, if you look at the fatigue index, I think Isak was well in the red, and
yeah, I'm looking at it now. Was anything over 1.3? Is red, and Isak was 1.45 before kickoff.
Yeah.
So I know Slot said in the press to Hamza, in fact, that he wasn't in the red zone in their view, but it was always kind of risky selection.
Definitely.
And then Hamza, final word to you, my friends. Anything that you want to put on the fun last hour of this match that you particularly liked? We finish on a positive.
I really liked Barts getting his 2 assists. I think that was just. I mean, the second one was just a James Milner scam assist. But as in, given the quality of chances created before, I think it's finally some sort of numerical reward to show for his work. When Salah came on, he was predictably just trying to get a goal to prove. People think that he's being greedy. It sort of is, but at the same time, he's also trying to prove his value. He's just been dropped, and he wants to show the manager and the team, I can score goals. I should be in the team. I should be starting. So I really sympathise and empathise with a player in that position. So when he didn't swear to Barts, you're thinking, "Oh, what are you doing?" That was the wrong decision. But at the same time, he's just trying to show that he is still valuable to the team. Because there is a wider discussion going on about when does this team become the Florian Barts team? When does it become the Isak team? When is it no longer the Salah team? And I think that's something that we're going to have to think about in the coming weeks and months. I don't think there's necessarily an answer to that yet, but it's definitely going to be a discussion because we've only got a year and 8 months left of Salah's contract. So these are things that the club is planning for, is thinking about. And at some point, they are going to have to make that decision where they completely sort of, where they significantly move the production and output away from Salah to these other guys. Because as we've discussed before, you can't have a team with all of them producing to, like, let's say 30 goals and 20 assists because there's just not enough to go around.
Can I just say I did request to finish on a positive, Hamza?
5 goals is plenty positive, and Salah trying to get amongst them.
Yes, but no, it's a very, very important point, and we will no doubt it'll be one of the themes of the season, no question. Hamza, thank you very much for taking the time in your airport. Hope you haven't been getting too many funny looks from for the fellow patrons in the Japanese restaurant in Frankfurt. But thank you, Hamza, and thank you, Dr. Barts, and we will be back Monday for the Brentford game. Until then, up the fucking Reds.